So let's go ahead and get started. So when we start talking about Sage Construction Management, it streamlines the entire process from the time you think about getting to a job all the way through your collaboration and into your financials. So it's an end-to-end solution. And we can streamline everything from pre-construction, as I mentioned. We get your project management, so your RFIs, your submittals, the correspondence logs, the collaboration with subcontractors, all the way into your financial insight, which would be Sage Intact and coming in the future, Sage 300, Sage 100 interfaces. So what do we do on the pre-construction side? Well, pre-construction does allow us to do lead tracking. So we can actually create a lead, start uploading drawings, start creating a portal for our possible bidders that are going to help us with this lead, start developing that entire project communication tree. When we talk about the project management, we're going to be able to handle the projects, the contracts, and change orders. There is a scheduling piece in there. I'll talk about it briefly. It's light, but it does have a direct interface or the ability to communicate with Microsoft Project and bring that schedule in to the software to share with your different vendors. We can track the field productivity, the collaboration, and then quality and safety. Anytime, anywhere access. So it is a 100% web-based program. So you can access it from anywhere in the world that you have an internet connection. There is an app, so you can use it on apps for the Apple iPhone, iPad, or Android products also. And what we're looking at is the collaboration and the mobility. So we already talked about the fact that I can get to it with any internet browser. I can use the apps. But as we start talking about it, we have external project team members. So that's going to be your customers, your vendors, your subs, the architects. And we allow collaboration through something called the TeamLink portal, which we'll talk about as we move forward here. And then on the financial side, you have a complete integration. So as I'm creating things on one side, I'm entering that subcontract. I do not have to enter it again down in accounting. Yet accounting will get the benefit of everything, be able to actually run reporting off of it and get all of their financial information they need. So let's go ahead and take a look at the product. Close that out. So when we log into Sage Construction Management, you're immediately greeted with alerts. Now these alerts can be custom defined for you, depending on what you want to see in your alerts packages. But we do have the ability to see them here and drill into them from this level. I do want to talk a little bit about the ability to come into the settings because there are some nice features in here. One of those features would be the ability to set up different users and workflows through the system. So when we start talking about users and security, we can set up as many security roles as we want inside the system. The security role itself is what is going to define what that type of user can do. So you can have a security role that has nothing but the ability to view a lead and do nothing else in the system if that's what you'd like. When we come back out and we get into some different things like our workflows, you do have the ability to set up workflows inside of Sage Construction Management. This is for approval processes. So when we come in and we look at different types of approvals we might be doing, we might refer to them as referrals when we're setting up a contract or a subcontract. Somebody needs to sign off on it before we send it out. It could be that we need approvals because we're going to have our vendors, our subcontractors actually enter their invoices through the system for us. These are very easy to set up. I'm just going to go ahead and hit add right here so you can see how this works, and it's actually going to build out a flow chart for me. So I can give it a rule name, and just so we can see it's brand new, I'll just call it Jim and Jim. What do we want to have it on? Which module? Is it going to be contracts or is it going to be procurement? Procurement being your subcontracts and purchase orders. So we can sit there and we can say, well, let's do it at our procurement level. Well, what do we want to do it on? Do we want to do it on bills against POs, the POs, sub-invoices, subcontracts, subcontract change orders? So all we're doing is walking through this and then setting up conditions. So the total amount of the subcontract is greater than this. I want it to start doing the workflow. And then I can have multiple approvers inside that workflow so that you actually have control of things that are happening inside the software before it ever pushes to finance. The other piece that our clients are really enjoying right now is this e-sign. So Sage Construction Management has the ability to communicate with DocuSign. So you have your DocuSign account, you actually log into it through Sage Construction Management, and we can actually send out the invoices, contracts, things like that directly through DocuSign and get those signed documents back. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the actual applications themselves. So I'm going to go ahead and expand this menu for you just so it sits out like that. We're going to start off right here in contact management. So contact management is our Rolodex. It's all of our companies, all of the contacts. So we can drill into these companies very easily, seeing what's happening with them. I can go all the way down. I can see the contact list within them. I can see information about insurance if we're having it. We can have linked files. For those of you that are on some of our other softwares out there, when we talk about linked files and uploading files, these are true uploads. They're not just pointers. So it's actually going to make a copy of the document and store it in the system. We can track all the emails sent out of the system to this particular vendor. Coming back up to the top, if I want to at any given time, I can come in, I can have my company list here, and you can just see if I want to do add manually, I can import from Excel. This will communicate with currently Sage Intacct, but in the future, other Sage products. But it's whenever we're doing something in the system, it walks you through a wizard. So it's really easy to kind of step through and set things up inside this system, making it a very nice workflow for those that don't like to get bogged down. Coming out, you can see that we can actually create a cost database. So you can add items. You can add labor, material items, crew items. You can build out a database to use to actually create budgets inside the system. And then we come down here and we have our leads. So within our leads, this is from the time you think, hey, I might want to go and get that job, or I might want to fight to get that job. Let's start tracking this. So you can go in and you can add a new lead. Now, you can add it manually like I showed you a second ago, but we'll come in and we'll open up a lead. So on a lead ourselves, you can see we can start adding different information, drawings, budgetary information. We can start sending out RFIs, taking pictures of the site. We can start building our lead directory. All of this is just uploadable information. So if it comes in, we can have it here. It can be downloaded to the app. We can open things up. We can mark them up. We can link them to things like RFIs if we need to. But you have that full functionality from the start at that lead level. We can always go back through these cookies to get to that previous spot. Over here, you can see we can have stages. All those stages are set up in your settings, so you get to define what those are. And we can actually track it through the stages. So right now it says I'm bidding it. I can go in and say, well, now we have a new selection. I submitted our bid. We submitted the bid. It was $15,411 or $15,411,000. Save. It's going to track it. It's going to be able to take that so we can report off of this information, where we are in these bids. How many did we win? How many did we lose? Down below, you can see that we can do invitation to bid inside of Sage Construction Management. So this particular one is just inviting people. Hey, would you like to, in the future, bid on this project? So we can send those out and get that information back in. When we come back up here and we start talking about tracking this bid, we're going to create our estimate. So within our budget, we're going to walk through, and I can enable locations if we want to. But I'm going to just come in here. You can see we can import it from Excel even, if that's the way you need to do it. But let's view this estimate. So we have our codes, our groupings. We can set up different locations, ways we want to group things together. Maybe we have multiple buildings. Maybe you're a home builder and you want it to be the main home versus the pool home. Whatever it may be, those could be different locations. And then we have the items within the estimate itself. So what are we actually bidding on? And if you look inside these, if I went inside this field personnel here, you'll see that it actually has more information on it. You know, if it's just material, if it's just labor. So we're going to be able to track all that information, including what we're going to sell it for versus what we are entering it for. So all of that can get in here very easily into the system. Now, as we keep moving through, you can see we have a bid management piece. So the invitation to bid is, would you like to bid? Bid management, we actually create bid packages and send it out for actual quotes from our vendors. We can take those packages, send them out via email, track who's responding, who's waiting for what, all their bid information. We can do bid analysis on this, so we can actually track them side by side, select the vendor we want by lowest overall or lowest item, then unit price. So it can be a combination of different things. We can mark up the entire budget with profit, overhead, material sales tax, things like that. We can add scope, and we can actually come in and create a proposal. Now, if we look at here and I go in and say print proposal, you'll see that I have multiple formats. I actually have multiple templates. And you can see it goes out to Word document. So you're going to be able to have pretty much what you want coming out of the system, however detailed or however you'd like to see it. So that can be customized for you. But this is going to go out, it's going to create that Word document and send it on its way. So there's that piece. Now, if I wanted to send this out via DocuSign, just so you can see how that works, all I do is come in and I select the same report and I say save the PDF to linked files. So when I hit OK, it's actually going to print it and save it on this contract itself. Once we have that information on that contract, on that estimate and reports and everything, we can go in and we can see all of our linked documents at any one of those levels, and we can actually send it out via the DocuSign. All right, so what happens once something becomes a job? We can easily go into our projects and from right here, tell it to create the project from the lead. If you aren't using the lead management, you can always create a project manually. You'll be able to see your projects lined up in nice views if this is the way you like to see things, cards, lists, sort and filter by different types of jobs. You can see some high-level information right here, right off the bat. We can go in and we can drill into more information, see what's happening on the jobs. Within these jobs, we can create all the different material. So let's kind of walk through these different pieces here real quick. Projects awarded. Now we're going to start talking about documentation. First of all, when we look at this grid up here, these are my favorites. Anything I have access to, I can make it a favorite just by checking it. That's what puts things into that favorites grid for me. Okay. Coming down below, here are different groupings. You can see over here we have quality control and safety. This is where I'm going to be able to do checklists, custom checklists, permits, punch list items, safety meetings. You can see that we do have schedules. I'm going to go ahead and open that up. When I open this up and I drill into this construction schedule, a lot of you might go, well, that's what I do now. As I mentioned, it just doesn't quite have that same type of power. Yes, I can put predecessors, things like that on here, but I expected if I was to move this over here like that, that all the stuff below it that, you know, it was a predecessor to would move for me, and it doesn't. So that's why I say a lot of people will use something like Microsoft Project, because we can actually bring that directly in here and then share that across all of our vendors. Coming back out, when we look at these different things, we can go into them individually. So if I wanted to go into permits, I could go right here. It takes me right into my permits. I can start pulling up the permits, see who's responsible for it, see any linked files associated with it, get all the information I want about it. At the same time, you can always go at the top level of each section. So let me just stop there, come back out, and look right here at this top section. So as we're looking at this, and I go in and I go just to click this, and the same in any section, it gives me an overview of that entire section. So here's all my permits and punch list items. Here's this safety incidents, and I get some visual cues at this level, but it's still the same area. I can still go into any one of these things and do what I need to do off of that. Coming back out and looking at our project home information again, we'll move down and we'll just kind of move over this way a little bit. So the first thing I want to talk about and what we think about when we're talking about a job is the documentation. So documentation is our information. So what you maintain, right? Meeting minutes, daily logs, things like that, photo logs. So you're going to be able to have all that functionality inside the system. You can go in, create a daily log. You can open up a daily log that's already there. I can put general notes on this. We can edit old ones. Obviously, it's going to be tracked if you edit anything, but it's going to be tracked. We can track activities on the sites, weather conditions. Yes, we are incorporated with the weather service. If I was to go right up here right now and say, hey, let's add one, you're going to see that it immediately brought in the weather from that job site. So I can do that very easily, whether I'm on my iPad or inside the system right here. We're going to be able to go down farther and say which trades were on site that day, how many people did they have, what were they doing. We can list any major equipment was out there. We can put in our visitors. You know, I always talk about what kind of visitors. Well, how about like OSHA? He came out and he wanted to review something and leave me a bill, right? I can go in there very quickly, put in all of our information and run it through the system. So tracking those visitors in the system. I can also add any files I want from any day. So if somebody did leave me a file, somebody like OSHA or something like that, I could take a picture of it and upload it right here to the linked files from that day. When we come back out, we go back into documentation here. Sorry. I'm just going to go into the photos real quick. What I like about the photos in the system is I can take all the photos, but then I can gather them together in different albums. And within the album itself, I can decide whether or not that album can be viewed by outside people in the portal. So I can actually make certain photos available for people like the customer or even vendors out in the field. Coming back to our project home, we move forward. We start talking about RFIs, journals, things along those lines. They're all right here in our correspondence overview. If I go into RFIs, a couple things I want to point out just showing you on this page. If you look right here, you can see an RFI with a sub RFI below it. We have the ability inside of Intact to do revised RFIs. You send out an RFI, you didn't quite get the answer you want, we can create another RFI based on the previous RFI so that we can keep track of original responses and everything else. If we go in and we look at RFI information, whatever it may be, a couple of things I really like about the system here. One of the things that people used to ask me, especially around things like Sage 300, you can see I've got my originator information, who's coordinating this, what is the request. We do actually have a space where you can put in a suggestion. So if you're sending this to the architect or owner and you're the GC, you might want to suggest that this be the answer. We can handle that inside of Sage Construction Management. When we come down below, we can reference prime contract information, location, spec sections. We can have impact, the schedule impact and financial impacts. We can actually have a workflow. Maybe we need to use the response workflow to this. So we can have a response workflow. We can have somebody responsible for this. We can go ahead and save this information and close it. So I just updated it and I'm moving it along. I can go in here and send the RFI out to the respondents. So I can email it out, I can do the DocuLink, I can do all those different things right here in the software. really letting us do things collaboratively. Now, when I say collaboratively, I'm going to open up another tab here, because as we're going in and we are building out that project home, so we're building out a project directory. Within this project directory, these are all the companies working on this project. These are their roles. Based on their role determines on what they're going to be able to see in TeamLink. We're going to be able to send those out as easily as just coming in here and say, send TeamLink invitation. These are the people. You obviously want to make sure they're all here, and you can just go send email. It's going to track emails were sent out, who it got sent to, and everything else inside the system. That's what the email template looks like that has gone out. If I come back out into the project directory, we have all that information once again. And I believe, if I'm lucky enough, I think I just sent it over here. Here it is. So that invitation that just got sent out, this is what it looks like. Here's the login. It's going to ask them to create a new password when they log in. When they log in, it will look completely different. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to log in as this individual. So I'm coming in through the TeamLink portal. We'll sign in. You're going to see there's a lot less information over here. All you can see is anything I've asked him to bid on, any alerts he might have, his profile information, and any project I've asked him to work on. If I come into that project, this is his information. He can download drawings. The drawings that are available here are always the most recent drawing. Download specs. He can come in, look at journals, RFIs. He can actually create an RFI. And I really should say he or she. So she can create an RFI. Now notice that's a vendor creating it. It's not going to my architect. It's coming to me. I'm going to become the co-originator of this document. I can forward it on if it needs to be, or I can just answer it when I get this email. Coming back into the project detail here, they can also come over, they can see things like their subcontracts or their invoices. They can enter an invoice from right here. So coming through, they can put a brand new invoice number in. So this is your subcontractor. We'll just put in today's date. We're going to hit save and next. It's going to bring up their schedule of values, the line items of that contract. They can come in and say, well, we got to bill $2,000 on this one. Or they can come over here and say, well, now we're 60% complete. And it'll bill that way. And when I hit save and next, it's going to upload this information. I'm going to get another email in a second because it's going to go through an approval process. You can see it's not approved. There's the email that's right here that says subcontract invoice has been received. And it wants me to link into it and go to that document and approve it and look at it. But it's in the system already. Also from right here, they can see all the previous information, the totals, and they can upload files. If you wanted them to have a hard file connected, maybe you want them to upload their lien release. All of that can be done right here on this screen, saving you time and effort. If I come back over into my project home and I go down here to my subcontract invoices, that subcontract invoice is here. I can drill into it, I can review it, and I can either approve it or not approve it. Completing that workflow. So it can go through an entire workflow and then be pushed into the accounting product. Moving back out to Project Home, a couple more things I want to talk about with you today. I want to talk about the fact that we do have the ability to come in, set up our prime contracts. Now within the contract, you're going to be able to put all the information. You can see we have some visual cues, things like that, but I can go in, I can put in the scope, inclusions and exclusions. These can be imported if it's the same thing over and over again. We can put start dates, stop dates. We can have approvals on these, and we can have our schedule of values. So very easy to set up this information. We come back in and I'm looking at the prime contract itself. Once again, I could print out that prime contract. It will store all the information right down here if I print it to that drop link, and then I'm just telling it to send it out via e-sign, and it will go through DocuSign and get all those signatures for me. I can go in and I can actually tell it I want to view the e-sign document. So where is it right now? Who signed it? I can see the signatures. It'll open right up in that Adobe format. I can scroll down, get to the bottom of this one. There's the signature that's been added so far. So you're in full control of that entire process. You're also going to be able to come in and do all your change requests and change orders, all seamlessly interfaced with Sage Intacct today and going to be interfaced with other Sage products shortly. But I can come in to the project home. We can look at our projects. Sorry, I'm going to get all the way back. And I can tell it I want to do a prime invoice. So on the invoice tab, you're walking through that same functionality. I'm coming out, I can say I want to add it manually. It's going to bring in all the information, client contact information. It's going to automatically invoice or do our numbering for us. I can go save it next. It's going to grab us to the next level. I can enter invoices for against the schedule of values. I can do it against job cost codes, or I can invoice the retainage. We'll just go next. And now it looks just like that sub invoice screen. I can come through, I can put in the current amount of work I'm doing. So this period, I want to bill another $1,500, or I can come over here and tell it I want to bill 60%. So either way we go, it's going to get updated information. Coming back out, I wasn't going to mention this, but I actually want to, I believe. When we were looking at the project home and the contract administration, because we do have some home builders and some different people out there, when we're doing our bid packages and coming up with our contracts, we can actually put allowances in on our contracts. So you might have a kitchen allowance, you know, or a bathroom allowance or something along those lines. There may be multiple packages. You can actually set up multiple packages within the system along with the items associated with it. And when they decide through that portal, they can come in and actually select the package they want, which would update the contract information automatically with a change order to remove however extra is on it and put the right amount in place. And you have a full view of what's going on with those different allowances. Once we have all of our information, we use an accounting link right here. Within this accounting link, this is how we're communicating with the accounting program. So there is a gatekeeper. That gatekeeper comes in here and does this and sends everything in. Now, you can have things that are more automated, but we find that accounting people like to really have more of that gatekeeper involved. So we do have that functionality in the system. I can look through and I can see all the linked customers, the master cost codes, our contract information, what's been posted, what hasn't been posted, accounts payable. It's all here for me. And we get to define all that information through our posting preferences. When we have everything that we need within the different documents, now we're talking about reporting. What can we show people? What can we get back to people? So there's a couple of different levels there. When I come out and I'm looking down here, I have these project analytics and I have reports. So when we talk about reports in general, they're pretty straightforward, right? And I can have general reports, project specific reports, you know, whatever it may be we need. But they're going to be pretty high level information around those. And I'll show you a couple in just a second. So when these reports open, some of the things you can do is come back and you can start filtering them out right here in this filter section. And then when you're done, view report and get the complete report details. When we come back over here and we look at it from an analytics standpoint, this is where you're going to spend more of your time. So if you look right here, I can do this for a single project. I can do it for multiple projects. Coming down below, I can look at high-level overview stuff. I can look at revenue, cost, vendor information. If we look at these up here, these are more dashboards. Now, if I open up one of these dashboards, you'll see the difference. Let that process and open up real quick. You can see all the different data it's bringing into this dashboard. So I have the ability, high level, to see this different information and even see kind of where it's come from. If I'm looking down here into my cost code section and revise different information. That's a dashboard. Now, if we talk about a reports, so if I was to come down here and let's just say contract and cost overview, it's going to go back to that other report scene that I showed you a second ago. And this is going to give me budget versus actual information. And as you can see here, they're very nice reports. They're well laid out. You can send them out of the system. You can force data refreshes to pull the information you want into the system. Just giving you a complete front end for the accounting package, tying operations with finance.